Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Steve Kinney. I'm an engineer and a producer. First, I want to say thanks for clicking on this video and checking this video out. This is part of a multi-part series that covers all Luna topics from the very start of your session creation to the very end when you export your song. Now in this video, we're going to be covering the very start of your project when you first open the program, which is session creation and session management, as well as navigation inside of Luna. Now timestamps are available for your convenience, so if you'd like to skip ahead in the video, that's totally cool. All I ask is that you leave a like, leave a comment below, let me know you stopped by, and just subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. All right, let's jump right in. Okay, so the first thing that's gonna happen when you load up Luna for the first time, you're gonna be greeted with this landing screen where you have different Luna live streams and tutorial videos provided by Universal Audio. You can open up and read the Luna documentation. Additionally, you're also going to be greeted with 4 main window panes on the left side, which is the Create tab. There's going to be a tab for Discover, and then you're going to have a Manage tab as well as a Settings tab. So if you're going to be creating a new project, obviously we're going to want to be on the Create tab, and from there it automatically defaults to wanting to set up a new session. This is where you can give your session a title. So we're going to create a new project, and let's just call this a sample new project. Now with the latest update of Luna, they did include the ability to start from a template. I haven't created any templates just yet for myself, but you do have the ability to do that and start from your templates, and that's where you would do it. You just click template and choose from one of the templates. This is also where you would set your tempo and your time signature. Now you do have the ability to tap out your tempo. For right now, we're just gonna leave it at the standard 120. Next, a very important thing to do is identify your location of where your project is gonna be stored. This is where your audio is going to be stored whenever you're tracking. This can be on your computer's internal drive, or you could even have an external drive as well. That's the system that I've been using, and I've had absolutely no troubles. It's been flawless. So for our sample project, let's go ahead and choose a location here. And I wanna make sure that I'm on my studio drive here. We're gonna go into our audio production folder and choose Luna Sessions. We're gonna create a new folder, Sample Sessions, create. Cool, and once we hit the open, that's going to direct our new project to put all of the files inside of that folder. A quick guide on settings. When you look at the settings tab, this should look pretty familiar if you're at all used to UAD Console. It's set up in almost the exact same fashion, so that should look a little bit familiar to you. Just a quick tip, everything that you do in here is device specific. So you can see I have a Apollo Twin as well. If I change any of the settings on the Apollo X8, they will not carry over to the Apollo Twin. And additionally, these settings are tied to the device and not the session. So if I open up a different project that was created on someone else's hardware, those settings for that hardware are not going to be configured for this particular session. So just make sure that you keep that in mind if you're working with other clients and if they're flying sessions to you. Now, one thing I must say, an honorable mention when working with Luna and getting your sessions up and running, make sure that you go out and you pick up an iLok USB. This is going to ensure that if iLok goes down for whatever reason, if their servers go down, you're still able to open and run Luna with no downtime. If you've used any other products that use iLok and the iLok cloud services, you're probably already going to have an iLok USB stick. So definitely pick one of those up. Additionally, something else I'd highly recommend is an external NVMe drive. With all of these modern Macs, they all have Thunderbolt 3. And with that, you can have an external SSD that's every bit as fast and as stable as your internal drive. Highly recommend that you work that way. This is also going to allow you to keep your computer clutter-free. If you're working with a ton of different sessions, this is the way to go, so definitely do that. Okay, so we've named our project, we've got our folder location, and we've got our settings for our hardware ready to go. Let's go ahead and create the project and jump inside of Luna itself and go over navigating the interface there. Cool, so now we've got our main interface up, so let's go ahead and talk about that. But before we talk about the transport controls and the interface, if you've made it this far into the video and you're new to the Apollo platform, I've just launched my new Heritage Classic Sessions pack. It's got over 30 presets to get your session up and running really smoothly, really quickly. It's based on some legendary sounds like Boston, Led Zeppelin, U2, Coldplay. It's a great way to learn traditional signal flows inside of studios and a great way to get the most from your Apollo. It's also a really easy way to support the channel, which helps me make new content for you guys. So go check it out, it's available now. Back to the video. So if you've never looked at Luna before, this is the main interface once you've created your new session. At the very top, you've got your transport bar, and you've got a couple really important controls just kind of centered right in there. The first one I want to talk about is the view section. Now the view section allows you to view the timeline or the mixer, and you can toggle between the two. It also allows you to show and hide window views. We'll go over that real quick as well. So window views allows you to see and create your new tracks. It allows you to see your groups in the groups panel. It allows you to see your Apollo devices, DSP allocation and memory. And it also shows or hides the control room controls on the right-hand side of your screen. The next really cool and important thing to note about the interface here is that you have these workflows on the right-hand side. Now this is a really cool, unique thing about Luna in my opinion. When you choose a workflow, your controls within the interface change contextually. So if I go into the record workflow, you can see that these new controls appear up at the top. I can choose cue outputs. I can choose to send my click to my monitors or my different cues. Of course, I can enable pre-roll or post-roll. And from the timeline as well, once I have some audio, my controls there change contextually as well too. So really cool. And I'll just demonstrate this as well. If I go into the edit workflow, you can see these controls change once again. So it's a really cool streamlined approach, and one thing that I really like to do is follow this workflow from the start to the finish. So the first thing I would do is I go to my record workflow and also my MIDI workflow. Then you go into edit, and then you go into mixing, and then you go to export your track. It keeps you creative. That's one of the coolest things about Luna. So that's just a brief overview of the main interface working with Luna. Now let's talk about something really important: session versions and bookmarks. So session versions and bookmarks are they're kind of very similar in effectively how you use them, but they are kind of a nuanced difference overall in the way that UAD has created them and how they see them if you check out their documentation. In Universal Audio's eyes, versions are meant to be more for an overall version of the track. So if you change some arrangements, or maybe you do like a remix, a dance version of your track, that's going to be a totally different version, and you can save your different version all under the same project, which is really cool. Bookmarks, on the other hand, are really meant in their eyes for different mix states. Now, one thing I like to do, it's a quick tip, after I do any sort of tracking, or if I make a major mix revision, I'll always save a bookmark, which allows me to go back at a later point and revisit that starting point. And of course, it's really worth mentioning that in Luna, it's always saving. So no more losing your mixes, no more, oh, the program crashed, I lost my work for the last 2 hours. No more Control S all the time. I mean, this should have been a thing in every program. So really glad, I'm really happy that Luna has implemented that and Universal Audio has implemented that. Great job. Okay, so now that we've covered the major talking points on the interface, how to set up your track, what session versions are versus bookmarks, now we're ready to jump to the next phase, which is tracking. So be sure to check out part 2 of this series where we go in depth on how to create a track, how to set up the track, processing the track. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, leave a comment below, and subscribe to the channel where we have a ton of videos coming out very shortly, centered entirely around Luna and UAD plugins. And if you'd like to work with me directly, you can reach me at @stevekinney on Instagram. Just send me a message. I'd be happy to discuss whatever you'd like. And finally, check out the Console Classics pack and the Heritage Classics pack. It's available now. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Check out part 2 here.